United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Jolly. I'd like to welcome everyone to the 1914th regular meeting of the Livonia City Council. This meeting is a voting meeting. Minutes of this meeting will be approved at the next regular meeting scheduled to be held on Monday, March 8th, 2021. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Councilmember Jolly,
Present, Livonia, Michigan.
Councilmember Toy,
Here, Livonia, Michigan.
Vice President Barr,
Here in Livonia, Michigan.
Councilmember White,
Here, Livonia, Michigan.
Councilmember McCullough,
Here, Livonia, Michigan.
Councilmember Donovic,
Here, gone on military duty.
President McIntyre.
Also here in City Hall in Livonia, Michigan. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. At this time, we have the presentation of the minutes for the 1914th regular meeting of the City Council that was held on February 8th, 2021. Council?
Madam President, I'll offer approving.
I'll second that.
Vice President Barr offered the approving motion, and he was seconded by Councilmember.
Madam President, I just want to make sure, if I may, and sorry, it's going to bug me if I don't. Did we get Kathy White on the roll call? We did? Okay, thanks. It would have bothered me if I didn't think we did, and I had to double check. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Does anyone have any corrections to the minutes? Comments? If none, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll call vote on approval of the City Council minutes from February 8th, 2021? Thank you.
Councilmember Jolly,
Aye.
Councilmember Toy,
Aye.
Vice President Barr,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough,
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic,
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and the minutes are approved unanimously. At this time, we go to the council. If anyone has any announcements, tributes, or recognition that they'd like to make.
Madam President.
Yes, Vice President Barr.
So I know there's a range of opinions when it comes to school and whether we should be in person or at home and whatever. But I thought tonight I'd just give some kudos to our Livonia Public Schools, because there's been a lot of articles lately about people struggling about when to go back. There was another one in the Detroit News today. And I am always a little bit taken aback by it, because just living here in Livonia, I didn't realize how much of a struggle this still is so many other places. And I just think the Livonia Public Schools deserve our commendation as a city for how proactive they've been with this whole thing and getting our kids back in the building and doing it safely. I haven't realized until recently just how unique that is among surrounding communities. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank them. I know there's a lot of work with that and a lot of opinions, but I think they've done a remarkable job, and based on the comparables around us, seem to be ahead of the game. So thanks.
Thank you, Council or Vice President Barr. And I'm going to add a few things to your comments after the other council members have an opportunity to do their tributes and recognition. Councilmember McCullough.
Thank you, Madam President. And to echo Council Vice President Barr, absolutely. As having a wife that works for the school system, and hats off to them during this pandemic. So the reason for at this time, obviously, we've got very cold months. Temperatures are getting below freezing, and the conditions outside have been interesting over the last couple weeks. At this time, I'd like to make a motion asking the law department for a report and recommendation to have a look at creating an ordinance, or even toughening up an ordinance that would maybe keep our pets a little bit more safe during these tough winter months when the temperatures get really deep down. I kind of want to keep it broad and kind of refer direction to law on this, if I may.
I'll second that, Madam President.
Yeah, I'll support it. Councilmember Toy, I think that Councilmember Jolly got there first, so
I think you're right.
we have a motion from Councilmember McCullough, supported by Councilmember Jolly, to ask for a report and recommendation from the Law Department on regulations governing the animals being kept outdoors. I would think, and I can't remember if you said just winter, but any extreme climate
I
temperature.
will agree with that, Council President.
Pardon me?
I totally agree with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else, Councilmember McCullough?
No, thank you.
Vice President Barr, were you going to comment on this or something else?
I was, but I see there's some hands up, so go to the people that are obeying the rules first.
Okay, I'll go to Councilmember Jolly and then Councilman Donovic and then back to Vice President Barr. Councilmember Jolly.
Thank you, Madam President. I am obviously in support of this motion. We had some circumstances that were brought to our attention in the recent week or so where there were some questionable behaviors and how people were keeping animals outside when it was extremely cold. It's absolutely within our authority to take a look at this. I look for law to give us some guidance here that will allow some more direct enforcement if necessary or appropriate. Some of the language that is used in the current ordinance, as I reviewed it, seems a little ambiguous or vague in terms of at what point enforcement would really click in, using standards that are, not necessarily something that we came up with here in Livonia particularly. So I think it's a good move for us to look at it and kind of make a decision going forward with what law comes up with. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Jolly. Councilmember Donovic.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to recognize the hard work of DPW and people that were plowing the city streets last week while I wasn't there to participate for the Winter Wonderland. I was watching and I got a few emails from people thanking the city and a few Facebook messages and text messages from residents saying thanks and great work to the city of Livonia for all the hard work they did with the snow. I know that sometimes that snow can be annoying in your driveways, but getting our city streets taken care of and throughout the city is awesome. So hats off to them and everyone that made it possible. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Vice President Barr.
Yeah, just back to the motion that's on the table. If we're talking about ambiguous language in the ordinance, we need to make sure that what we're referring to the law department isn't just as ambiguous. So if I may, through the chair to Councilman McCullough, can you just be a little more specific as to what you're asking the law department to get back to you on? I mean, I know you said toughening up the standards, but is there something in particular that you have in mind so we know what we're voting on?
Vice President Barr, I hate to put a temperature on it, but, after reviewing some ordinances out there, I know other neighboring communities and other areas have done stuff with, correlating maybe to a wind chill advisory. But I will defer to legal on that. I don't want to assign, I think assigning an exact temperature is tough. And it could create more of a headache than a good ordinance. But maybe something along the lines of, wind chill ordinance or advisory, something of those nature. That, and maybe even including in controlled temperature environment rather than weather by heat. Like I said, you could get so micro into this, it'd be better to be kind of macro, but maybe a controlled environment.
Okay.
Councilmember, I'm sorry, Vice President Barr.
I'm all set. Thanks.
Councilmember Jolly and then Councilmember Toy.
Thank you, Madam President. So in supporting this motion, what I would anticipate law would do is take a benchmarking of other similar ordinances in local communities and elsewhere to see what makes sense and kind of give us some advice in terms of what not only makes sense, but what might be enforceable or better the situation altogether. So I think it's best that we kind of leave it to some degree, knowing what the topic is with law to kind of give us some guidance. Obviously, we wouldn't be voting on the actual passage of ordinance tonight, only referring it to law to kind of come up with something that is more stringent or better rather than what we currently have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Toy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would agree with the last speakers in regards to this. There's such things I think as well that could come into play, like breeds of the different animals that are out. whether it's size or, the breed. Some can take temperatures other than others. So we'll leave it to the masters there in the law department. And I'm sure that Mr. Bernier and his capable staff will be more than sufficient on this ordinance for us to take a good look at. Thank you again.
Thank you. Anyone else? Would anyone from the audience like to comment on this before we take a vote? And this would just be, this is only on the referring this to the law department. This isn't on any particular law or any language. All right, I'll go to the audience, beginning with Shayla Western Weiner. Good evening. You should be able to unmute yourself.
Hear me? Can you hear me okay? All right. So I am pleasantly surprised to see that you guys are starting with this exact topic, which is why I'm here tonight to speak. I am a resident in Redford. I'm an elected precinct delegate actually in South Redford, but Livonia has been my home since 1979. So I was shocked to hear about the beagle situation in North Livonia this past week. There was a large group of us that kind of worked up the chain of command between the police and the animal control officers. And the bottom line was the ordinance needs to be changed because this particular gentleman with the beagles, which is what was kind of on the news and everything, the issue was the fact that the ordinance is what it states. And this man was following it to a T. But I can tell you that the circumstances were hard to look at.
Ms. Weston Weiner, at this point, the comment is really just on whether this should be referred to the law department.
Absolutely, yes, and thank you very much. Absolutely.
Thank you very much for your call.
Thank you.
Thank you for participating and being engaged. David Cords, and I should have asked, please give us your name and address for the record. There you go, David. You should be able to, we can hear you.
Hello, David Cord, 16001 Riverside. Actually, I do not believe this should be referred to the law department, as the gentleman in question was in full compliance of the law and the dogs were actually found to be in absolutely wonderful shape. I think we are overmanaging the city. Thank you.
Thank you very much for taking the time for being engaged and taking the time to call in. Good evening. Let's see, Thomas Kruger, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Hi. Hi. My name is Mary Lou Kruger. Thomas is actually my husband. I am the person that started this.
Ms. Kruger, could you please give us your address?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Mary Lou Kruger, 21395 Robinson, and that's Farmington Hills.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm in complete agreement that something needs to be done for these beagles. They look chubby, and I guess that's considered healthy because they never leave their tiny little prisons with plastic barrels and straw for warmth.
Okay.
That is their entire life. So thank you so much. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we go to Carissa. Carissa, you should be able to unmute yourself. Did we lose Carissa? Not sure. Carissa was there, and now I do not see Carissa. Oh, there we go. All right, Carissa, you should be able to unmute yourself, and just a reminder, if you could give us your full name and address, please.
Hi there. My name is Carissa Perrin, and I'm very happy to hear that you guys are starting with the animal situation. Negative 15 is very extreme for pets to be left out in this cold, and I do recommend that this be forwarded for further review because this is just cruelty at this point. And my address is 7701 Randy Drive in Westland, Michigan. I'm Carissa Perrin.
Thank you very much for being engaged and taking the time to call in tonight. All right, if there are no further comments from the audience, we would go ahead, Madam Clerk, and there we go, Amanda Callahan. You should be able to unmute yourself, Ms. Callahan. Good evening.
I live at 31824 West Chicago in Livonia.
Okay.
I'll make it short and sweet about the Beagles. I'm thrilled that you're talking about doing something. But while we are talking, it's positive, and sending to legal, that's a process. It's red tape, and I know it has to be done. But somebody needs to do an emergency something for these particular dogs, because while we're talking,
Ms. Callahan, right now, we're only on the subject of referring this to the law department.
well, that feels like a shutdown.
Well, it's not a shutdown. You are welcome to talk about the emergency condition.
That's all I was going to say.
Ms. Callahan, you're welcome during audience communication to talk about the specific concerns and what you feel needs to be done. And if you stick around for a few minutes, we'll have audience communication and you'll be welcome to speak at that time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next we go to Tracy Rowland. Ms. Rowland?
Hi, good evening. My name is Tracy Rowland. I'm at 22775 Glenmore Heights. That's in Farmington Hills. And I just want to say that I am fully for going to the law changes with the changes to the ordinance.
All right. Thank you for being engaged and thank you for taking the time to call in tonight. All right. If we're done now with audience communication on this issue or audience comment, Madam Clerk, if you would please go ahead and take the roll on Councilmember McCullough's, supported by Councilmember Jolly's move to refer this issue to the law department for report and recommendation.
Councilmember Jolly?
You're on mute, Jim.
Aye.
Councilmember Toy?
Aye.
Vice President Barr?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough?
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic?
Aye.
President McIntyre?
Aye. And resolution passes unanimously, so this will be referred to the law department for report and recommendation. All right, does anyone else on council have any tributes, announcements, or recognition they'd like to make this evening? Councilmember Toy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I see the mayor's on, and I don't want to steal any of her thunder, but I want to say how pleased I am that we're able to gather this serum for the vaccine, and Mayor can explain it a lot better than I can, but I think it opened today at the Senior Center for anyone over 65, and all of you are too young. So I think it's wonderful that our city was chosen, and the hard work, everyone in the administration and all of you that were involved in that. So I just wanted to announce that to the public. I know I had several calls on that, and they gave us a phone number for folks to call, and that was very helpful. Appreciate it. So thank you so much, Mayor and others.
Thank you, Councilmember Toy. Anyone else? All right, at this time, I'm going to announce the department heads, and I have several announcements. And then before we go to audience communication, we are under my announcements. I'm going to welcome the mayor, who's going to update us on the program. Councilmember Toy just made some brief comments about. All right, joining us tonight, we have our mayor, Mayor Maureen Miller-Brosnan, our city engineer, Todd Zalensik, our Director of Economic Development and Planning, Mark Taramina, our Director of Information Services, Casey O'Neill, our Director of Governmental Affairs, Ms. LaShawn Thomas, our lead city attorney, Mr. Paul Bernier, the manager of the council office and council business, Sarah Kasperwich. And then I have to switch over to my other screen, bear with me, to see who's with us. All right, we've got Dave Varga, our Director of Administrative Services, Mr. Don Roroff, our DPW Director. Always tricky. Josh Sabo, our Director of Resources and Communication. Let's see, who else do we have? Linda Scheel, our City Treasurer. And I think that's it. I hope I haven't missed anyone. All right, I have one announcement to make. Mr. Barr already made most of it for me, and I intended to do this 2 weeks ago, and we have a lot of other things going on. But it was just to make sure that, and this was an interesting fact to me before I get into the content and comment a little bit more on what Mr. Barr said about Livonia Public Schools. About 75% of Livonia households do not have school-age children in Livonia Public Schools. So I thought it was, all of you who have children in Livonia Public Schools, as I did at one time, I had 2 in Livonia Public Schools. You're aware of the status with the schools and what's going on in other districts, I think more so than citizens who don't have children in school or aren't involved in the school district. But we are back 100%, and that's 5 days a week, full days. There was a pause over the holidays, and then we moved quickly back to having everybody there 5 days a week. There is strict mitigation measures in place and high compliance, and those are things like mask wearing, physical distancing, walking traffic patterns in hallways, and the district is extremely proud and appreciative of everyone's efforts. With that said, there are 25 students, about 25 or approximately 14,000 students who have chosen to do the fully online option called Livonia Virtual, and that's not back and forth on or off depending on COVID situation. That is 100% online. And also, as we announced 2 weeks ago, student athletes and their parents are extremely happy to be back playing winter contact sports, basketball, volleyball, wrestling, competitive cheer, and hockey. And that announcement from the governor was welcome. But we are very, very proud of our district. And as Mr. Barr said, it's perhaps not understood that it's fairly unusual, or at least it's not the common situation for a district to be back full-time, all students, 5 days a week, full days. So great job, and thank you, LPS. And next, I wanted to congratulate a very special business in Livonia, Anastasia and Katie's Coffee Shop and Cafe, who recently celebrated its official 1-year anniversary of being in business. And I think most of you have had an opportunity to visit Anastasia and Katie's. It is on Merriman, just north of 7 Mile, in a little plaza on the west side of the street. It is staffed by adults with developmental disabilities. There is a supervisory staff who do not have developmental disabilities, but the staff work is done almost exclusively by adults with developmental challenges. And tonight we have the pleasure of having Ms. Kelly Rockwell. She is the chairman of the board of a 501c3 by the name of My Work Matters, and that's capital M, small I, Work Matters. And the coffee shop, Anastasia and Katie's, is a program of My Work Matters. And at this time, I'd just like to invite Ms. Rockwell to say some words to us and talk a little bit about how things are going and give us an update. And I am, Kelly, I'm trying to find you on here. And Casey, if you can do anything to help me to maybe bring Ms. Rockwell in as a, there she is. Okay. There we go. Good evening.
Hi, thank you very much for that announcement and the recognition. I just wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart and from everyone that does participate in our program for the outpouring of support from the Livonia community. It was no small feat to launch a business in December of 2019, 2 months before a global pandemic. And without the outpouring of support that the community has shown, we certainly would not have made it to our 1-year anniversary. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I hope that you all continue to stop by for coffee, breakfast sandwiches, lunch sandwiches, and that we are open from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tuesday through Friday, and 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturdays. And that is correct. We are run by a 501c3 nonprofit.
Kelly, one thing maybe that you could mention is the box lunch donation program.
Oh, yes.
That you have, and I know of a local business who's going to take part in that. You and I discussed that today.
Yeah, so one of our initiatives is to launch a boxed lunch giving program, which is basically a way to pay it forward. So if any businesses are interested in becoming a sponsor, the idea is that you would purchase 10 to 30 lunches and then donate those lunches to an organization of your choice. So it's a way for our employees to, have things to keep them employed, and also a way for them to give back to the community.
Thank you. Does anyone on council have any questions or comments for Ms. Rockwell? All right. Well, Kelly, thank you for your time tonight. And the motto, could you give us the motto of Anastasia and Katie's, please, which I think is phenomenal.
We are good and strong.
And I love that, because it is certainly true that the coffee is delicious, all the food is delicious, but the we are good and strong applies certainly to the wonderful employees and staff there. So thank you. And one more thing, could you give us the address and the website?
Yes, the address is 19215 Merriman Road, and it's right next to Angel Saints and stuff in the Merriman Mall, which is also the location of Tweeny's. And our website is AnastasiaandKatiesCoffee.com. We're also on Facebook, so there's a lot of updates that happen on Facebook.
And is Anastasia and Katie's, is the Ann spelled out?
Yes, it is.
Anastasia and Katie's Coffee?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Kelly. And please keep us posted and let us know what the community can do. And we love to hear good news and updates about the coffee shop anytime you'd like to join us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And at this time, I have 2 birthdays to announce. We have a lot of announcements tonight. A very special birthday, our former councilman, Joe Taylor, who will be turning 90 tomorrow, February 23rd. And Joe is not only a well-known and beloved longtime public servant, but several years ago, the city council and the city had the privilege and the pleasure of renaming our city council chambers in honor of Joe. So Joe, if you're listening, happy birthday from a grateful city and from your friends. And also another important birthday, Fire Chief Dave Hebner will be celebrating his birthday on February 26th. So happy birthday, Chief. You've certainly had a busy year so far. And at this time, one other item, we have a request from Melissa Wojnar Raycraft to remove item number 11 from this evening's agenda. So we will be removing that from the agenda and not taking that item up tonight. All right, now at this time, I think I'm through all the announcements. It's my pleasure and privilege to introduce our mayor, Maureen Miller-Brosnan, who is going to give us an update and explanation about the great senior vaccine program that we're very proud to have going in Livonia. Mayor, good evening, please.
Good evening, and thank you, President McIntyre. This really is exciting news for our community, and I invite you all to share in it. Thank you all, and all of you have done such a great job of staying in touch with my office on this so that you have been apprised of everything that's going on. We've worked, all of us together, really hard over the past couple months to try to get vaccines, COVID vaccines, to our community, and most importantly, to our senior citizens. So today we are really excited to announce the launch of a program we're calling Vaccinate Livonia. This is a campaign that is going to allow us to open up a vaccination center to vaccinate residents over age 65 at our Livonia Civic Park Senior Center. Appointments are available online if you go to vaccinatelivonia.org. And if you are not computer savvy, if you want to call, there is a hotline. And the hotline number is 734-466-2019. We so far have scheduled 2,200 people for vaccines. And we know that supply far outweighs demand. So we're going to start doing vaccines, as I said, tomorrow and go through Saturday. All of the slots for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday have already been filled with 2,200 people. So there are limited time slots now that are available on Friday and Saturday afternoons. We are really hoping that this is a successful program. We're certain that it will be, and we're hoping that it sets the pace for what can be done here in Wayne County. And in doing that, it is our ultimate hope is that the supply chain keeps flowing, and that as long as that does, that we become a standard part of that pipeline. You know, as a city, we have contended from the very beginning that we are capable of administering a vaccination program ourselves. And that's due in large part to the fact that we have trained paramedics within our fire department. So those paramedics are going to be administering the vaccine. Our Parks and Recreation staff are part of our registration system. They're going to be running registration. And there are countless other city employees that through the course of putting this program together have put on new hats and adopted new roles in order to make sure that this is a really successful effort in our community. And there is, I really do want to single out one person in this effort, and that is Wayne County Commissioner Terry Marecki. Terry Marecki worked tirelessly with the Wayne County Health Department and with Wayne County Executive Warren Evans to secure these vaccine doses for our community. And the key to this was that Terry, like all of you, believed from the very beginning, months ago, that we could do this ourselves, that we could manage registration, we could manage the vaccination, we could enter all the information in the state recording system, and that we could take care of people. So that is our goal. And we actually started doing this last week, and this is a point of pride for us here in Livonia, and I know that you all share in this. Last week, we were successful in vaccinating 600 of our most vulnerable seniors. This is a group of people that from the very beginning of COVID have fallen through the cracks because they are seniors that are living in independent living facilities. So they're congregate housing. They're not long-term care facilities. Most of them have an issue with transportation. They're not technology savvy people. Many of them have been isolated because of the pandemic itself. Some of them are low-income individuals. And as a result, we have been tracking these close to 1,200 people since the beginning of the vaccine, trying to make sure, since the beginning of the pandemic rather, trying to make sure that they got things like the testing, like the PPE, and now the vaccines. So in conjunction with our fire department and our housing department, Brandy Isaacson's team over there has just been fantastic. And then volunteers from our CERT team, we were able to go into each of our independent living facilities and at times go door to door, taking a mobile unit on the road in order to distribute vaccine. Now, we are the first in the area to do that. We're definitely the first in Wayne County to be doing that because it was only last week that there was authorization given to engage in a mobile distribution method. So we were right there, again, ready to do this job. And as soon as we got the green light, and as soon as we got vaccines from Wayne County and from St. Mary Mercy Hospital, both of them were exceptional partners in getting us the vaccines, we were able to go in and again, take care of those people that were the most vulnerable in our community, those that would have truly fallen through the cracks. So we're really excited about our success last week. We're equally as excited about the success that we believe that we're going to have this week in vaccinating. By the end of the week, we're looking at 500 people a day being able to vaccinate over the course of 5 days. So 2,500 people in a week. And again, if the pipeline of vaccine continues at a constant rate, we're hoping that our success is going to allow the county to continue to provide us with the vaccinations that are necessary to take care of our community. So again, I want to thank all of you for your support. You've been right there with us, making sure that good information was getting out to people and directing people to us when you knew that they had specific problems and issues. And your sensitivity and confidence, sensitivity to the needs of that a vulnerable community and your confidence in our fire department to deliver this vaccine has been there from the beginning. So I really wish to thank all of you for your endorsement of this program.
Thank you very much, Mayor.
Okay.
Great, Councilor, are there any questions for the mayor? All right, seeing none, Councilmember McCullough.
Thank you, Madam President. I had just even today, some of the cool stories that I had a bunch of neighbors that were able to finally sign up through the website. And, I was, going to go through the list. Obviously, Mayor, that it takes a whole city in this, and the cross-departmental, unity that is happening right now, and the innovation and thinking outside the box is nothing but phenomenal. So hats off to everybody involved. Obviously, we get to sit up here and kind of, spread the word, but the boots behind, the scenes are really rocking, and it's much appreciated. I had people in tears calling me today that they were signed up for tomorrow. So it's an incredible feeling. Great job. Keep it up.
Thanks, Councilman McCullough. We do appreciate it. This has been a great exercise for all of us and really breaking down those silos of government. We talk about it all the time, but we're getting a chance to really exercise in that arena now. So we're grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mayor.
Welcome.
All right, thank you. And thank you for joining us, and thank you for your leadership. And we will, I'm sure many of us have also expressed our appreciation to Commissioner Marecki.
Please do.
A great partnership with the city and the county. So thank you, Mayor, and have a good evening.
You too. Be well. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, at this time, we go to audience communication. And if our council parliamentarian, Kathy White, the Honorable Kathy White, would please read us the rules on audience communication, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the public audience at the meeting shall not speak until they are recognized by the chair. Each person recognized by the chair to address the council shall identify himself or herself by name and, if appropriate, group affiliation. A person addressing council on an item on the agenda shall be limited to 2 minutes, unless the period of time is extended by a majority of the council present, and shall be recognized to speak prior to council's consideration of the item. There will be an audience communication section of not more than 30 minutes duration at the beginning of all council regular and study meetings where citizens may address the council. There will also be an audience communication section at the end of all regular and study council meetings where citizens may address the council on any matter that is not on the agenda of that meeting. Citizens who wish to expand upon their remarks will be asked to reduce the matter to writing and submit it to the city clerk, and such item may be placed on a future council study session for further consideration. A person addressing council under the audience communications portion of the agenda will be limited to a total of 3 minutes at each study or regular meeting, unless the period of time is extended by a majority of the council present. A citizen may address the council once during audience communication. If the citizen has addressed the council during the first audience communication period at the beginning of the meeting, the citizen will not be permitted to address the council again during any audience communication period at the end of the meeting. Anyone addressing the council shall make responsible comments. Personal, impertinent, slanderous, or profane remarks are not permitted, and anyone causing a breach of the peace may be removed from the council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Council Member White. I'm trying to get my screen adjusted a little bit here. So with that, we go to audience communication. It is now 20 minutes to, it's actually 22 minutes until 8, is that correct? So we would go until 8 minutes after 8 is our maximum amount of time for this portion of audience communication. And we will go to Ms. Shayla Weston Weiner. Good evening.
Good evening again. Thank you so much for your time. I just wanted to, again, thank you all for voting unanimously to revisit the ordinance in the city of Livonia for the animals. You have no idea how much so many of us appreciate that. I kind of put something together just to give a little background information. I believe I have 3 minutes to speak. Is that correct?
You do.
We already started. I'll go ahead.
Yeah.
In addition to being a precinct delegate, I'm also a teacher, a middle school teacher for about 20 years. But I volunteered for different animal rescue groups for the last 26 years. I am in no way anywhere close to what some of these people do in dedicating their lives to rescuing animals, but my passion is definitely there. So 2 weeks ago, when the truly frigid Arctic weather started settling in, I did see a disturbing post on social media about the beagles forced to live outside all year round. The pictures that I saw of their pen taken by concerned people was heartbreaking. They live in locked pens with no roof in the middle of a fenced-in yard, and their dog houses are blue plastic barrels with straw. On days when it was absolutely brutal outside, dropping below zero many times in the last 2 weeks. It was hard to believe that this treatment was allowed in my hometown. A group of concerned people tried our best to work our way up the chain of command. And again, we were told to come to the city council meeting. So here we are. So I think one of the things that we're asking you guys to take a look at is not only, monitoring the temperatures outside. There's a difference between a 20-degree day in the wintertime and 15 degrees below zero, which is what it was last Wednesday when we had that peaceful protest that drew media attention. Additionally, these are beagles specifically. This is kind of what sparked everything that we're talking about, not Siberian Huskies or Alaskan Malamutes. So what we're hoping that you guys will do, as you may know, there was an ordinance amendment that was done in East Point, and they specified temperatures. I don't know if that's something that you could look at or looking at the different breeds, but I'm hoping that sounds like it will be an agenda item. And I can't tell you again how much I appreciate that coming from my hometown. I was really disappointed last week. It was hard to sleep some of those nights thinking about those dogs that were out there. And I hope that this will bring about change for the betterment of people and animals in the city. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Westenweiner. Now we will go to Mr. David Cords. Good evening, Mr. Cords.
Yes, good evening again. David Cord, 16001 Riverside. I'm calling because I'm getting to be somewhat fed up with the restaurants and bars in our city not being open or being open at 25%. I've sent Sarah a resolution that was passed on the 20th of January by Chippewa County, which I actually also own a house up there, requesting that Governor Whitmer and the Michigan Health Department stop this nonsense. As you're all aware, the COVID rate has dropped below 1%, and our bars and restaurants need to be open because they're businesses, and businesses are there to make money. And I would like to ask that the Livonia City Council support Chippewa County and the Whitefish Township Board, and also write a letter to Governor Whitmer and the Michigan Health Department requesting that the 25% order be lifted immediately and bars and restaurants to be open 100%. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cords. I appreciate it. And I am hoping that you've also been in touch with our state legislators on this.
I have been.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate your engagement and your comments tonight. Thank you. And now we go to Jay Mock. Good evening. And we will ask you to please give us your name and address.
Oh, yes. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the City Council. My name is Joe Mack of 18803 Renwick here in Livonia. And while I appreciate the bevy of positive information that's been shared this evening, I'm here to voice a little bit of frustration, actually, on behalf of myself, my family, my friends, and several of my neighbors. I kind of agree with the gentleman who previously spoke about things being shut down in Livonia. It's been over a year now since we've started this COVID pandemic, and are we going to stay shut down here indefinitely, or what? I mean, there are other communities around us who have found ways to open things. The citizens of Livonia are continuing to pay their taxes, and several of our city services are not being sufficiently provided. The two I want to focus on are the library and the rec center. The rec center is open to a limited capacity. However, there's no classes going on, despite the fact this is happening at private facilities. They're taking mitigation efforts. There's no organized games allowed, despite the fact that there's organized sports at high school and collegiate professional level. My family is owner of a membership, despite the fact that we signed up for a completely different offering. We're not allowed to pause our membership. We're forced to continue to pay. The library is open at a limited capacity. You have a time limit. But however, in one of the more bizarre policy moves, my 70-year-old in-laws can't even get a chair to sit in while they sit there. I'm not really sure how a chair can spread COVID, but I digress, I suppose. My wife inquired as to why the children's programs aren't taking place, and while the director of children's services, she was very professional, and I appreciated her time and her patience. We just feel that the substitutes that are being offered are insufficient. There's no virtual programs taking place. There are in other communities. While our schools are finally open, that's great news. Our kids still continue to miss out on valuable recreation. That's key to their growth and development. We think it's unacceptable that there's still, over a year later now, no plan to open any of these things, no plan offered from the mayor's office. And excuse my candor, perhaps, but I'm not talking about a plan with platitudes based on things like, oh, we hope the weather changes and we can do something outside, or we hope the situation magically changes. A real plan with real answers to open up Livonia again. And I hope that you, the city council, will help us find the answers that we seek. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mack. Mr. Vice President Barr.
Yeah, Mr. Mack, thanks so much for joining us tonight. And I'm going to respond to you, but I also want to just respond to the gentleman who spoke before you, if he's still on. We'll probably have some conversation about the resolution you sent. I read it actually as you were speaking to us, and at first glance, and I emphasize first glance, but at first glance, I can't say I agree with a single word of that very well-written resolution. So appreciate you bringing that to our attention. I'm sorry, can't say that I disagree with anything in that. But to you, Mr. Mack, specifically, on the rec center, I think I can give you a few answers on that as a rec center user myself, but I'm going to focus mainly on the library thing. But on the rec center, I actually believe we have restarted classes, and they are looking at, if they haven't already, well, actually, I'm sure they are, because I know Mr. McCullough just participated in one, that they do have some organized games there. There's a delineation based on how, as advised, my understanding, Paul, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but on advice of our city attorney and our emergency preparedness director, there's a delineation between what is organized activities and what is not, which is why there's some organized activities that are happening, but my beloved morning basketball is not. I'm frustrated by that too, but there is a rationale behind that. But on the library, I think you bring up some really good points. And especially in wintertime, when our options for going outside are more limited for the kids, it's even more a time that I'd like to see us be more aggressive with this. And while there may have been a rationale for it at the time, some of the things like not having chairs, frankly, even the 30-minute limit, we're talking about a large space here that is never packed. And when we look at the fact that our kids are going to school in closer conditions than what we can do in the library for some of the programs there, I actually fail to understand. I agree with you, Mr. Mack, as to why, with the frustration as to why that isn't open more. But I'll also admit, I'm not as frequent user of a library personally as I am of the rec center. So I may be ignorant of this. I see the mayor's not with us anymore, but we do have the Department of Governmental Affairs here, LaShawn Thomas. I don't know, Madam President, if I can ask Ms. Thomas if she has any kind of update on this situation, or if she has something she could give us on it. So through the chair to Ms. Thomas, I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but just wondering if you have any kind of update related to these issues that Mr. Max brought up tonight on the library.
Ms. Thomas, you're muted. I've done that many times.
Oh, I'm sorry. Good evening, everyone. Actually, there isn't an update right now. I will share that, while I think a lot of people are very frustrated, as a city, we do have to follow the orders of the governor. And so I can understand how you're feeling, but right now, this is where we are. I don't have any updates in regards to when things are going to open up, or I don't have any updates with that.
Okay, and I know I put you on the spot there, LaShawn.
That's okay.
But I appreciate you. I appreciate you telling us what you do know. Madam President, if I may, through the chair to Paul Bernier, who I'm also going to put on the spot. But Paul, just from your understanding of the directive that's come down from the state of Michigan, is there anything in that specific to libraries that, And if you don't know, that's fine, because I am putting you on the spot, but
Well, that's okay. I don't mind being put on the spot. When I don't know an answer, I'll come around and tell you I don't know.
right.
I honestly don't know I don't think there's anything specific. The problems with, in my humble opinion, as a lawyer reading the governor's orders, is they aren't specific a lot of times. And so you take a general order and you try to fit it into what we do in government. And sometimes that's difficult, but you do your best to try to fit it in. So you take general concepts dealing with all different businesses and you try to figure it out in a governmental, and it becomes difficult. And so we're doing the best we can, but I will tell you this, Council Vice President Barr, we will take a look at it. I will talk to the people in the mayor's office. I'll talk to the library staff. I'll talk to Brian Kahn, who's really our true expert in all this. And we'll take a look at it and see if anything can be tweaked or not. I don't know if it can or can't, but we will look at it.
All right. Well, thanks for your candid answer. And just again, to reiterate, I think what Mr. Max brought up tonight, I think all three of those points are worthy points to reconsider. And I would even say just on the broad spectrum, it seems to me that library operations as a whole could continue based on my understanding of what the directives are. So, you know, in this public meeting, I guess I'd just like to, and LaShawn, thanks for taking it back, but that the mayor's office look at that and see what we can do. Thanks.
Councilmember Jolly.
Thank you, Madam President. Just to respond to Mr. Mack, first off, I've known Mr. Mack for probably about 25 years now. He's a good guy, and I think his intentions are very well intended here. The rec center does have classes going on. They may not have all the classes going on at the moment. And the recreation department does have organized sports that even though they may not be the ones that are taking place in the building, they are registering people for the spring and kind of moving forward here. As far as the city goes, I think we've worked with the administration to kind of interpret these rules as best as possible and kind of use the flexibility that we have. And I would expect that we will continue to do so. So as we take note of what Mr. Mack has said here and kind of write that down, I think there should be an expectation that we continue to review and make some progress against what he's saying to better serve the residents here. Some of the frustrations that are coming out here, such as the restaurants being at 25% capacity, we have absolutely no place at the table in regards to those decisions. And unfortunately, you know, we're doing the best we can through alternative means by allowing outdoor seating more so than we used to. So it is on our radar and we are doing what is within our power. But thank you, Joe. It's good to hear from you finally after watching these meetings for so long.
Thank you, Councilmember Jolly. Councilmember Toy.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thank you to those audience members and call-ins that are doing that. Really, after serving in state government for almost 20 years, you really, really, really need to call your state representative and your state senator. They have direct contact with the administration up there, meaning the governor's office and others that can best get you through. And they need to hear your concerns. I think you mentioned you did call them, but you want to keep on that because they, again, have direct access to the various people that can make things happen and be influencers on the administration to show what locals are going through and get some clarity to that. So, you know, while we're the city council and we do and listen to you, as Councilman Jolly had said, and empathize with you, we really are under state law at this point and executive orders. And that goes for a whole lot of things as we face this, you know, terrible virus that we're all going through. So thank you for your concerns, but give them a call, talk to them. I know they're both very receptive people and represent. And again, they've got the wherewithal to be able to make things happen. So thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'd just like to add one comment onto this, and that is, as has been pointed out several times in this discussion, we do have to work under the directives. And I believe, Mr. Bernier, aren't the directives now technically from the Department of Health and Human Services, not edicts from the governor? I think that's
technically
a difference perhaps without a distinction, but one of the things that I think the science is suggesting is that the transmission, it was the concern early on, and a novel virus, everything about it is novel, including the vectors of transmission. There was a lot of concern that perhaps there was going to be a lot of surface to person contamination. And I think the science is clear that that's not the primary vector of transmission, and that's a low vector of transmission. And a lot of our protocols, I mean, there are a number of things mandated by the state, but I think a lot of our city protocols are predicated on where we were a year ago, that there was a high, that was going to be a prominent vector of transmission. And I know we always want to err on the side of caution, but all of those things like not having chairs and all of the disinfecting comes with not only with a high price tag, but with a lot of inconvenience and difficulty for our residents. And we do want to keep everyone safe. That's a priority. We've shown our willingness to do whatever it takes, spend whatever resources were necessary. But I do think that we need to look at the science behind the ways that this is transmitted. So thank you. With that, we will go on to Amanda Callahan. Good evening again, Ms. Callahan. You should be able to unmute yourself. There we go. Ms. Callahan? Ms. Callahan, are you there? You should be able to address us. All right, I'm going to go on to Mr. Kruger, and then we will circle back to Ms. Callahan if she would like to address us. Good evening again, Mr. Kruger.
Hello, this is Mary.
I'm sorry, it was Mrs. Kruger. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I accidentally I didn't know I had to use my own phone. I'm back on the subject of the ordinance. Although the animal control officer deemed the beagles to be well cared for, citing straw in their plastic dog houses as proof of insulation and noting their weight as a sign of being healthy with food and water in their pens, we noticed something much different last week when our group protested outside the man's home. In the hour that the 30 of us stood there trying to be a voice for the dogs in the bitter cold, many neighbors drove by. They gave us a thumbs up or pumped their fist as a sign of approval in what we were to tell us some pretty
we're losing Mrs. Kruger.
People have seen these dogs out there for years. In the
Kruger, you're breaking up.
Oh, they telling us. Am I still? Can you hear me now?
Better.
Better. Okay. We had a lot of people drive by while we were out there doing a peaceful protest for these dogs, and they gave us a thumbs up or stopped to talk to us and tell us how happy they were that someone was finally able to do something. They've been trying to save these dogs for years and years. However, they have been unable because the laws are in favor of the dog owner. It was stated that the dogs are healthy and have water. Well, the dogs are actually chubby because they unfortunately never leave their pen. But we noticed that they had been limping when they were out of their little plastic barrels. They had a limp or an injury of some sort. The animal control has stated several times that the dogs are in good health, but why are they favoring their paws? It doesn't take much of the bitter cold. It had been 15 degrees below zero that morning, so it made sense. And the dogs pace back and forth in their small pens or walk in circles like an animal at the zoo, longing for freedom from captivity. This was a clear indication they have known no other way of life but to exist in these pens day after day, something that has been confirmed to all of us by the owner himself. For many people we've talked to over the last couple of weeks, it's hard to believe that this type of life for a dog is allowed and deemed legal in the city of Livonia. We must do better. I hope that all of you will help us to make amendments to the ordinance in an effort to help these dogs and all other domestic animals in the city. Thank you so much for bringing this to the council's attention. Brandon McCullough, you're a rock star. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kruger. All right, next we go to the phone number ending with 618. And it is I believe it's *6 to unmute yourself. If you could hit *6, please, on your phone. The phone number ending with 6618. There we go. Good evening.
Sorry about that. Hi, my name is Carol McKee, and I want to thank all the council members also.
Ms. McKee, could you please give us your address?
Sure, 28984 Westfield Street, Livonia, Michigan. And I just want to thank all of the council members for the unanimous vote on hearing this topic going forward with regard to the Beagles, and especially you, Brandon. Thank you so much for bringing this up first. I echo what was said earlier with regard to the state of these dogs. I also want you to know that it weighs heavy on many of our hearts that we see this going on in our city. My question to the city council members is, if you take this forward to the legal team, what are the next steps? What can we expect from a process perspective?
I can answer that. Let's see, it was Ms. McKee, correct?
Correct, yes.
The law department will come back with a report, and at that time, someone from the council could offer a resolution to change the city ordinance. And an ordinance change requires a first reading and then a second reading and publication in the paper to become law. And oftentimes, or not always, but oftentimes ordinance changes are referred to a committee, because we want to make sure that we have enough time to discuss. When you change an ordinance, it's pretty significant. And oftentimes we'll put it in a committee, not always, but giving us an opportunity to discuss deep into every facet and perhaps unintended consequences of the ordinance.
Okay, so I'm a project manager by trade, and I apologize for my next question. What is the time for, I'm sorry?
No apology is necessary. I understand the work of project managers. You're time bound and you look at precedents and critical path items, so.
Right, so when can we expect this to come back to the agenda?
I don't have an answer for you. It depends on the workload in the law department. They are very responsive to us. The law department is, we're unfortunately down a person right now. We have one of our attorneys out on medical leave, and we have a large workload, but they are very responsive. So I would suggest that you just watch the agendas. You can subscribe to the agendas, and we'll hope to get it on quickly. It won't be on the next meeting of March 8th, I can tell you that. That's not
okay. Great.
But watch the agendas, and you know, we don't function quite the same as a project management environment, but we do. Efficiency and quick responsiveness is important to us, to all the departments in the city.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, next we go back to Carissa. Good evening again, Carissa.
Good evening. I just wanted to say thank you again for so much, guys, for taking into consideration better laws for the furry companions in the city of Livonia. I'm a professional pet care provider by trade, and as a pet care provider for over 15 years, I've seen several pets be extremely sensitive to the cold, and we always do what we can to prevent that, because that is not what we want to see, is anyone suffering. But it is my understanding that a concerned citizen, as mentioned, saw one of these poor beagles previously mentioned lifting their paws in distress during these extremely freezing temperatures. It's very possible his poor paw could be frostbitten, especially with the temperatures being sub-zero real feel. Even if it's only 8 degrees, it might feel negative, as you're aware, with wind chill and things of that nature. I've observed them myself, and they did bark in distress. So I'm just highly encouraging that if temperatures are below 32 degrees, where the water cannot stay liquid, or if the weather is over 85 degrees where it evaporates quickly, I would just ask that pets be required to be in controlled temperature environments. I ask this because, as you know, food, water, and shelter is required for pets and their well-being. And if temperatures are below freezing, the water does not maintain that liquid form that they need for their health. So I just want to thank you guys again for this unanimous consideration. I will be watching the agendas, and I appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much, Carissa. And we only have time for one more during this segment of audience communication. I'm going to go to Amanda Callahan since she was queued up prior to Tracy Rowland. Tracy, we will have audience communication at the end of the meeting. So if you want to stay with us until the end of the agenda, we will go back to audience communication for anyone who did not have an opportunity to address the audience during this first communication. So Ms. Callahan, let's give this another try and see if you're able to address us.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can.
Thank you. Yes, I too want to thank everybody. But the big concern I have right now is just from the heart. While this is all being processed, these animals are suffering as we speak. Is there any way of doing any type of an emergency visit or something in this situation?
No, there is not. There is no ordinance. There's no ordinance in the books for it. I don't know if the Humane Society, if
no, they won't. They did. They did, but it's the same thing. It's within the law. So my next quick question is, I spoke with my veterinarian about this tonight, and she wanted to weigh in tonight, and she couldn't get on because she hasn't done Zoom before. But she's willing to write a letter to your law department to give them guidelines from a veterinarian. Would that be accepted?
It would be accepted to the city council. So I'd suggest that she write it to the city council, and we will pass it along to the law department since it's from the city council.
Okay, to anybody in particular's attention?
You can just write it to the city council. You can find our email. You can find our email addresses.
Yeah, I have that.
Which Sarah Kasperich is the manager of the council office and the council business. And if you send it to the city council generic address or use the form, Sarah will make sure that everyone gets it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, and with that, we are out of time for audience communication. Ms. Rowland, I would ask you to please stay with us. And at the end of our agenda for the regular meeting, you will have an opportunity to address the council. So with that, we will go ahead with the agenda. Reports from the mayor and other city officials, we have none tonight. At this time, we move on to our consent agenda. Items 1 through 9 on tonight's agenda are on the consent agenda. They're voted on as one item. It doesn't mean that they are any less important than any of the other items that were taken up in the February 8th study meeting. It just means that they were not controversial in nature. Council. Councilmember Jolly.
Madam President, I will offer an approving resolution of the consent agenda.
Thank you. Do we have support? Support from Councilmember Toy. And Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll call vote on the consent agenda?
Councilmember Jolly?
Aye.
Councilmember Toy?
Aye.
Vice President Barr?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough?
You're on mute.
Councilmember Donovic?
Aye.
President McIntyre?
Aye, and the consent agenda is unanimously approved. This, we move on to unfinished business, beginning with item number 10. This is roll call vote. This is proposed amendment to zoning ordinance number 543 as amended. This comes just from the Department of Law regarding petition 2020-09-06-02 to amend section 31.03, uses permitted, to expand the list of permitted uses to include beneficial forest management practices such as removal of invasive species and selective trail construction in accordance with the city's master parks and recreation plan and transportation plan, Livonia Bike Walk, which is Council Resolution 12-21. The first reading was given by Councilmember Scott Barr on Monday, February 8th, 2021.
Madam President,
Vice President Barr.
I'll offer a second reading on this.
All right, any discussion? Any discussion from the audience? And Ms. Rowland, I would just ask you to take your hand down unless you wish to comment on this agenda item, and then just put it back at the end of the meeting. Thank you. Seeing none, seeing no comments from council. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll call vote?
Councilmember Jolly?
Aye.
Councilmember Toy?
Aye.
Vice President Barr,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough,
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic,
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye. And the amendment to zoning ordinance 543 is approved. The ordinance will become effective upon publication in the newspaper. And with that, we go on to item number 11, but we've removed that from the agenda at the request of the petitioner. So we go on to item number 12. This is a request for approval of commitment and resolution for the City of Livonia to join AARP's Age-Friendly Communities Network. This comes to us from the Housing Commission as part of Livonia's 5-year consolidated plan to promote successful aging and improve the quality of life for all residents. Councilmember White.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Support from Councilmember Jolly. Ms. Isaacson, you'd like to address the council on this. And I'm sorry if you were on the phone earlier, Ms. Isaacson, but I should have seen you as a department head if you were, and acknowledge you as the director of the Department of Housing.
Thank you. I just didn't know if anybody would have any questions regarding the Aarp designation. I know last time when I appeared at the study meeting, I was having some computer issues and wasn't able to answer everybody's questions, but that's been resolved. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask.
Vice President Barr.
Yeah, Brandy, since you asked, I do have one question. I was debating whether to ask it, but I will just quick. In the brochure that you provided, it talks about part of the program being conducting an assessment and submitting a plan to the AARP. I know you had said that there's no cost to us with this, but do you have any insight yet as to what that looks like for us, or not yet?
Not yet, but we do plan on doing the assessment along with our 5-year consolidated plan.
Okay. And as far as submitting the plan to the AARP, is that really just for their information, or is there some kind of obligation involved with that?
There is an obligation with submitting a plan. It's more or less like a reporting of activities just to make sure that we are achieving our goals.
And will we be using internal resources to do that assessment and the report, or?
It will be done through our Community Development Block Grant Program.
Okay. All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Anyone from the audience like to comment on this? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you take the roll call vote? Motion to approve was offered by Councilmember White with approval from, or support from Councilmember Jolly.
Councilmember Jolly,
Aye.
Councilmember Toy,
Aye.
Vice President Barr,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough,
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic,
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye. And the motion is approved unanimously. And we will be looking for the language here. There's, sorry, I have a little disconnect in my two agendas. The request for approval of commitment resolution for the city to join the AARP's Age-Friendly Communities Network is approved unanimously. Thank you. And with that, we move on to item number 13. This is administrative response to Council Resolution 19-21. It comes to us from the Department of Parks and Recreation regarding the subject matter of the Silver Sneakers membership program and the Jack E. Kirksey Recreation Center. Council?
Madam President, I'll offer an approving resolution.
I'll support.
Support offered by Jolly, supported by McCullough. Any discussion?
Madam President, this is, as the memo explains to us on council, I'll just kind of recap it for the public here. This was a program that was originally held at the Livonia YMCA. When the YMCA closed, the rec center kind of opened their doors and became affiliated with this program to allow access to senior citizens to utilize the recreation center as a medical benefit of their health insurance at certain times for a certain amount of visits per month, I believe, actually. So I think this is a great opportunity to reach out to people who normally would not be able to use the rec center. And the time period which they will be using the rec center is the period which is probably the least busy. So it will not have an impact that will be greatly seen by members who are paying monthly dues at the rec center. So I commend the Parks and Recreation Department and the Commission, and especially Ted Davis in regards to this effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member Jolly. Vice President Barr.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. So the core issue with this and why it was requested was just concerns that have come up from a number of residents who had been used to the program at the Y, where they could use it at any time, and now being limited to using this before 3 o'clock on weekdays only. So that was the core issue here, is that discrepancy. And having looked into this and had a number of conversations on this, including with Ted Davis, and everything Jim Jolly said is correct. But I will be supporting this tonight, and I know that will come as a point of frustration to some of the seniors who wish that it would go beyond that 3 o'clock hour. But I think that the key difference here with the rec center versus the YMCA or LA Fitness or any of the other facilities in our city that may offer this is that those are private facilities. This is a city taxpayer funded facility, and we do have an obligation to our taxpayers. And one of the things that this program does is it opens up this Silver Sneakers program to anybody, whether they're a resident or not, which is great. But that needs to be taken into consideration when it comes to managing the flow of users through the facility. So that's why this approach was taken with the rec center versus some of those other things. And there was one other thing I was going to mention on it, but it's not coming to mind, so maybe it was irrelevant. Thanks, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Vice President Barr. Anyone else? Would anyone from the audience like to comment or communicate with us on this? Mr. Tom Evasic, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Please correct me. You should be able to unmute yourself. Are you able to unmute yourself?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, I guess I'm very disappointed.
Could you please give us your name and your address, please?
Yeah, my name is Tom Evasic. I live at 16267 Edgewood Drive, Livonia, Michigan, 48154. I guess I'm disappointed by the results of the council on restricting senior citizens the use of the facility. You know, it's a benefit from the healthcare, from our healthcare, for obvious reasons, to keep us healthier and more productive, and it's for good reason that they promote this. And to suggest that we shouldn't be able to use it on the weekends or other time periods because we're a city or owned facility doesn't really change the need for senior citizens to get their exercise. And if it's, you can't justify restricting it to seniors because it's a city facility. I mean, we pay taxes too, and as we get older, it's tougher and tougher to find places to get exercise in, and I can't see where a city facility should restrict our use from a benefit that's given to us by our healthcare. And if it's a concern that non-residents can use it, let them be restricted, but let the residents use it as an unrestricted facility.
Thank you, Mr. Evasic, for your comments, and I empathize with the frustration that you and the other Silver Sneakers members have. I see that Mr. Jolly would like to address your concerns, and we also have someone from Parks and Recreation. I'm not sure if that's Mr. Davis, but Councilmember Jolly.
Thank you, Madam President. Just to clarify the record here, this is an additional program that the Recreation Center has opened its doors to accommodate. Nobody in Livonia gets to use the Recreation Center for free. People pay either through an annual membership fee or they pay through a day pass. The rate at which the Silver Sneakers program is reimbursing the city is, I believe, $2.50 per day, up to, I believe, 15 or 20 times per month. But that 15 or 20 could be wrong. If any resident off the street or any non-resident wanted to come and use the recreation center, they would be paying, I believe, at least $8, if not significantly more, maybe up to $12 or $15. Again, I'm not sure what the day pass rates are because I am an annual member. But this is something that is a positive, and the rec center has opened their doors. They were under no obligation to do this whatsoever, and they've kind of accommodated this and are trying to make it work as best as possible while limiting the impact on paid memberships. So I understand Mr. Evasik's frustration here that this is a different scenario from what was happening at the YMCA. You know, I stand by what I said earlier. I believe Mr. Barr got it right as well. Hopefully this works out, but you know, it's not limiting anybody based on being a senior citizen or not. This is actually a benefit the senior citizens through their healthcare would get that other people would not get. So let's be clear about the facts here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Jolly. I see that we have Parks and Recreation on the phone. Casey, if you could maybe, there we go. Good evening. If you could let us know, is that you, Mr. Davis?
It is, Council President. Thank you very much. Ted Davis, representing Parks and Recreation. So much so that my screen name is even Parks and Recreation. So, I mean, Councilman Jolly stated it very well there. Any other group utilizing the facility on a per visit basis is paying anywhere from $5 all the way up to $17 per visit. This is a tremendous benefit for seniors in our community, and we are happy to offer it. What I would say is there is no distinguishing between a resident and a non-resident for this program. That has always been one of our hesitations with this. So as Mr. Evasik brought up, you know, to limit the non-residents and give the residents whatever benefit, that is not how this program is administered. So again, I mean, Councilman Jolly stated it very well. I think this is a tremendous benefit to the seniors in our community, one that no other age group in our community receives. And I think, you know, again, we were under no obligation to offer this. We chose to try this. We have a 1-year agreement with Tivity Health. And obviously we're monitoring it and seeing where this is going to take us in future, you know, in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. And I will just add that Mr. Davis is the Director of Parks and Recreation and Community Resources. And I'm going to ask our parliamentarian, Mr. Evasik has his hand back up. Did he have time left on his 2 minutes?
He's got about 24 seconds.
Okay, Mr. Evasik, we'll go back to you. And you heard, you have 24 seconds. So please.
Well, there was a distinction made between a private organization and a public organization. And the private organization chose to limit unlimited use of their facility. Now, because we're a city-owned facility, all of a sudden we think we should restrict it to our residents. It really doesn't make any sense from that viewpoint. And if it's an economic thing, what is the economics that we're losing by opening this up to these seniors of Livonia? It just seems like it's take it or leave it, since it's
Mr. Evasik, your time is up, but thank you. We really appreciate your engagement and are very happy that you're a senior who is part of Silver Sneakers and wants to stay healthy and active. And we all really can appreciate that and empathize with your frustration about the changes to the program. I don't know if anyone else from council would like to address us. All right, if no one else in the audience would like to speak to this issue, then we will go ahead and take the vote on accepting, I guess, are we accepting, Mr. Bernier, are we accepting the report?
No, I think we have to do a vote on that.
No, that's what I'm saying, administrative response. So we are, sorry.
Madam President.
You're
Yes.
approving the resolution and a support already.
Thank you, thank you. That's what we're voting on, right? Okay.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure that I was saying correctly what we were voting on. I knew we had an approving resolution. All right, Madam Clerk, if you would go ahead, please, and take the roll call vote on this.
Councilmember Jolly,
Aye.
Councilmember Toy,
Aye.
Vice President Barr,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough,
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic,
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Madam Clerk. And with that, we go on to new business, and that is, we have one item, item number 14, the last item on our agenda this evening, and that is acceptance of donations. This comes to us from the Department of Parks and Recreation, of cash and gifts from various contributors to be used for the purposes as designated by donors. Mr. Davis. And Casey, thank you. Go ahead, Ted, please.
Thank you, Council President. Again, this is an acceptance of gifts here, and I would just like to highlight a few organizations that have been incredibly generous. Mercy Elite for their continued sponsorship of our programs, namely 100 Days to Health. Friends of Development of Greenmead, Livonia Arts Commission for the continued support of youth concerts. And you can see, I mean, those are, I'm highlighting the large gifts, but there are gifts of various sizes here and all very important and relevant in our continued offering of programs and services to the community. And we want to thank all of our donators, our groups that have donated to us and businesses. Without their support, we would not be able to do what we do.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Councilmember Jolly.
Madam President, I apologize if I'm getting this wrong. Do we have a motion on the floor?
No, we don't. Thank you. I just realized that.
I'll offer an approving resolution of this item, and then if I could speak when we get a support.
Support from Councilmember Toy. And I'm sorry, Mr. Davis, that was my error, but we will not make you repeat what you just said, even though we did not have a motion on the floor.
I think we should make him repeat it, though. No, I apologize. Do I have the floor, Madam President?
You do.
Okay, thank you. You know, just to back up what Ted has said here, this is the list of who, in terms of the you know, philanthropic community here in Livonia, and also a lot of our businesses here as well. You know, we can never list off all of these, but we have the Livonia Elks Lodge, Livonia Kiwanis, Nestle Water, Bush's Fresh Food Market, ABC Warehouse, Advanced Auto Parts, AutoZone, Burger King, Menards. These are places that have put their money back into the community here in one way or another. So we appreciate that. And, you know, there's many more to list off here, and I'm sorry we can't go through all of them, but we're very appreciative of every gift. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Jolly. Anyone else? Anyone from the audience wish to comment on this item? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll call vote on the acceptance of donations as indicated or as specified from by Parks and Recreation?
Councilmember Jolly,
Aye.
Councilmember Toy,
Aye.
Vice President Barr,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough,
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic,
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and we have the motion carries for the acceptance of donations. Thank you, Mr. Davis. This time, we go back to the audience. If there's anyone in the audience who would like to communicate with the council, who do not have an opportunity to do so in the first audience communication. Ms. Rowland, this would be your opportunity if you're still with us. And let's see, I see a hand up. There we go. All right. You should be able to, there we go. Good evening again.
Good evening again, and thank you for letting me speak. I'm going to touch on the point, of course, of the beagles again, but I'm going to get a little technical. We have people, I've worked in rescue for about 6 or 7 years now. We have people that are working on the state level to try to get the laws changed. But what we believe is that this particular owner of the beagles is violating MCL 750.50, which is the statute that sets out the Michigan duty of care for all vertebrate animals, including what constitutes sufficient food, water, shelter, sanitary conditions, exercise, and veterinary medical attention in order to maintain an animal in a good state. We don't believe that the owner of those beagles are doing it. The current ordinance in Livonia, ordinance number 3114, section 6.01.350, which addresses cruelty, neglect, abandonment being prohibited in Livonia, is the one we're hoping to change. Letters A, C, and E leaves questions on whether the owner of the beagles is in violation of the ordinance. The animal control officer seems to think the owner is in violation, is not in violation, and refers to the weight of the dogs as proof. However, what many of us have seen the last week where the dogs lacked exercise and seemed to have frostbite on their toes due to the brutally cold weather we had, not to mention having the bare minimum when it came to the proper shelter from the elements. We know that you're all already considering an amendment to the ordinance, and we are very grateful for that and can't wait for it to get onto the agenda. As I'm sure you'll see many animal advocates join that meeting as well. And I think that the fact that it was brought up by city council instead of by animal advocates like myself and the others that have spoken speaks volumes to what the city is willing to do.
All right. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
All right. Thank you for being engaged, and thank you for taking the time and for waiting out the rest of the meeting so you could have your opportunity to address the council. Thank you very much. I will make a final call for audience communication. Going once, going twice. If not, I will call for, I would ask if anyone would like to offer a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Do we have support from Councilmember Jolly? No discussion. I think we can safely show 7 on that, and we will adjourn, and we will return for the study meeting at I'll round it a little bit at round it down a little bit, 8:40 p.m. Good evening. Good night, and we are adjourned.